Hello and welcome back to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. Welcome to Ayo's house, or as I like to call it, Yankee Stadium. Because you know what, we're recording in person for the first time this season. Ayo and I are back to talk about episode 7 of season 2 of Industry. And he's here, I'm here, we're in his house, you guys are watching it. Ayo, how are you doing?
I'm fine. That was much better. If you guys didn't know, Bank had
Don't,
another
you
intro,
don't
which
need
was
to.
really bad.
It wasn't bad, it was just that, like,
It was extremely
it was just
awkward.
weird. It was first time doing it in person. It was just like it's not.
It was really
it wasn't
funny.
bad.
It was really funny.
This episode is going to be a very long episode. Together. I apologize because I really like this episode. So before we go into it, I'm just going to do quick admin. If you're present on this podcast, thank you very much. We're also covering our fantasy shows right now. We're covering House of the Dragon. We're covering Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Those are being covered by people who really love those worlds. So please check this out if you're watching the show. We're also like this is your first time something on our industry episodes, like I said. We also spoke with Mickey and Conrad, the creators, earlier a couple of weeks ago. So please check that out because it really gives a bit of insight to where the season might be going. But yeah, also just follow us on whatever platform you're listening on, and rate and review us. Okay. So Industry season 2, episode 7. I don't like this. It feels very much like Joe Rogan. Because like I keep looking at you, I'm just like a mic, and I feel like now I'm one of those podcast people.
That's terrible.
I wasn't there before, like because they were like, oh, we film on TV, we did it over Zoom or whatever. Now it's like there's a mic. I saw a tweet where they were like, in this UK, when somebody finds a table, just have a podcast. And now we become those guys. And I don't like it very
table.
Yeah, because of the mic. I don't like this very much. Anyway, this is all very new to me. Anyways, yeah, season 2, episode 7 is written by co-creators Mickey Dan and Conrad K. It's directed by Isabella Eckloff.
Dream team.
Really good. I think. Oh, let me not. Anyway, and yeah, and it's titled The Lone Wolf Club. What are your general thoughts on this episode? Actually, no. Before we go into that, I was listening to Mickey and Conrad on the podcast. That was not this podcast. And they also read an article where they were talking about some inspirations for the show, and they said there's some cool ones like Heat and Mad Men, obviously cool. But for purpose of this podcast, they mentioned Moneyball and Social Network. So like they're fully in the soaking bag with us. Correct. And then I think it was and then Conrad liking Mickey to Fincher.
Oh.
So at this point I'm like, okay. And then this one really I think this will really excite you. Another inspiration for theirs was
I need one more name.
Halt and Catch Fire.
Oh my gosh! I didn't know that was coming. That's really good. Oh god, that's one of my favorite shows.
So I do think this is my favorite show of all time now. I just think it ticks too many boxes. Well anyway, yeah, season 2, episode 7. What are your general thoughts?
I really like this episode. I think the first two things I've watched it twice now, which is the first time in this recapping season that I've done that for an episode. Two things. This episode is almost entirely conversations. Almost entirely. That's the first thing.
Shocking. That's good.
And the second thing is this episode is in all those conversations, all this interaction, there isn't one that is without tension. I was tense throughout.
The least tense one will be Bloom and Gus.
Bro, I was tense.
And even that, then I'm just okay. Well, maybe Gus and Leo.
Gus and Leo.
Gus and Leo, maybe.
Gus and Leo.
Yeah.
But bro, I was tense a lot throughout this episode, and it's wonderful that they're able to keep that up the whole time.
And obviously, I don't want to talk too much about because I don't want to start ranking what episodes, whatever. Obviously, the first time we really kind of blew up, I'm like, oh, this is a great season of TV. Was episode 2, and if I say episode 2 is great, episode 7 is great. I don't want to talk about because the rest of the episodes in between, but they feel like two very different kind of episodes. And because, like you said, this one is conversational. Like episode 2 has the big thing at the end, right? It feels like action, but this is and this is like so it's like how maybe 2 might be an action movie, and this is obviously this is my head now because of talking whatever. Like this is like social network. This is just them talking across each other in the
deposition
room. Okay, can I confide in you my general thoughts for this episode?
That's risky. Go ahead.
It's just you and like our 5 listeners, so it's fine. I did something that I haven't I've never done this season. I've never done it since like Mickey and Conrad have been on.
Okay.
I code messaged Mickey, and I was like,
no.
this episode was fucking incredible.
Oh no.
And you knowing me know how uncomfortable that would have made me.
Yeah, you must have been so moved.
But it was Jesus when the episode ended. Because again, it's so different from episode 2. Like I knew episode 7 was like I knew to look forward to it, but I did not know to look forward to like this.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was so I was gonna message Conrad as well. That was the plan after, but I was too shy after so like if for some reason you guys are listening, I do think to our listener, I think I've messed up any chance of them coming on the podcast. I think I've scared them away. But I really started to tell Mickey how it was a really good episode. I wouldn't say whether he replied or not. That's for me and maybe Mickey. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to go beat by beat because I think this is again. I don't think we can just do character.
Yeah,
like so much happening. So
beats.
As you can see, I have the iPad
conversation by conversation, really.
Yeah, well, yeah, true actually, because that's how I put them down. So again, we'll try not to spend too much time on things that don't require too much time to spend on. But like I said, I apologize that this might be a long episode. But this episode starts with a bit of subterfuge by Harper, and we realize that Eric is involved as well, and Rishi is involved. Actually, question is, to your knowledge, do you think they need a trader to move? Because I'm just thinking whether they actually need a trader or Mickey and Carl just like, we want more Rishi and Saga. Just put them in. Just put it in this because could Eric and Harper just go and be doing these interviews themselves? Like, do they actually need a trader, or does the trader actually make them more attractive?
I think it probably does. I don't think Eric on his own is enough to make anyone come.
Yeah.
I don't think Harper on her own is enough to make anyone come. I don't think both of them together is enough.
So Rishi is actually.
I think Rishi is the glue that makes them a palatable package.
Okay. I don't disregard for that. We can kind of like we want to write more Rishi
because he was really good in this episode. He was really good in this episode.
I'm a bit worried about what family he's marrying into, but that's for a different podcast episode. Because like the Neil Hamilton guy is like UKIP.
Oh really?
Yeah, I googled him. So like, why does her father?
That's crazy.
No, UKIP people. And little things we've been hearing all season, like, what family are you marrying into? Yeah, I mean, what were your reaction when he said, "Why just like Kendall Roy?"
That was incredible. I was so happy. Because I was like, he is just like Kendall. But like when he walked in, I was like, shit, they're gonna get caught.
Yeah,
I was panicking. But then when they just allowed him to say, I was like, wait, why didn't they hide? They had time.
Yeah.
And then it becomes clear that he's meant to be in on it.
Yeah. But he doesn't know about Harper, and then when he obviously turns on and sees Harper, yeah. Okay, so that's just the beginning. We can skip quickly and go into one of the first real big conversations this season, which is our first check-in with Nicole since I think episode 4. So it's a very tense dinner. Back to what you were saying between Robert and because Robert's still trying to suss out, I think, where everything still stands with Nicole, and Nicole is a bit feeling a bit distant. Actually, there's a line reading she has of like she says everything all right. And it's so good because you see the line reading, her facial reaction is like, it's like, oh, do you want me to ask? Or is this what I meant? It's not like a quote unquote girlfriend meant to, like, okay, is everything all right? Like this is not what we do. Like some moping around me, kind of. Then her line reading is almost like it's not. She's not actually saying everything. She doesn't care. No. But she's like, why are you doing this? Yeah, like what are you doing? This is not what we do. We come and joke and have sex. Like,
yeah, we come. Yeah.
So yeah, it was almost like I don't really care, but this is what I meant to say. So okay, take this. Like anyway, yeah. Well, so what you're saying, obviously Venetia pops in, so you can talk about that whole scene, including Venetia. If you want.
Yeah. So, bro, the only thing I had in my head was just blinding rage throughout that whole conversation. So the way the conversation,
who?
Bro, who do you think? And Nicole.
Okay.
I hate that.
Have you listened to that?
No, I think it really just bubbled up in this episode.
But because
I'm number one hater now. Yeah. Before she attacked Venetia, I was just like, she's so nasty.
Oh.
She was being so nasty to Robert. So like the way the conversation goes is, Nicole is talking to Robert to try to suss out what's going on with him, and then Venetia pops in because she needs FaceTime with a client for Rift Day, and she's basically, oh bless her, she thinks this is her. Oh, I'm going to get you back for what you did did in Oxford.
Or you owe me a favor.
You owe me a favor, yeah, basically, from Oxford. So she thinks, oh, this is a good opportunity for me to call in that favor and get this time with the client. And the way the conversation basically goes is she hypes up Nicole, and Nicole loves it. And this gives her enough, I guess, she's found a replacement enough to then be as nasty as she wants to Robert. And yeah, just coming out of that conversation, look, I hate her so much. If she has it, you know that too. She has 1,000 haters, I'm one of them. If she has 100, I'm one of them. If she has one, I'm dead.
Yeah, we can talk about the whole. Let's just talk about the whole scene together. Obviously, it's split into two.
Yes.
Do you think she's ever jealous of Venetia?
Oh no, I think that was what was coming out of her. She was upset that Venetia is young and pretty.
And like Robert's attention.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you know what's interesting. I don't think like having proof that Robert was giving her any attention was enough. I think just the fact that she was there and she worked with Robert was enough to set her off.
Yeah, because there's a look she does when Venetia comes over.
Yes.
She's like, what's like? It's almost like, why are you inviting this person into our thing and everything? Which is, yeah. I don't want to be. I'm not a Nicole apologist. I'm not going to say anything. Just like it was like, oh, okay. So are these real emotions that you're having, like jealousy and stuff like
territorial.
that? Yeah. And then she tries to force, after waiting about being nice, tries to force Robert to drink. And she indelicately brings up his mom.
Bro,
I was like, oh my god, what?
I think that's when I became her number one hater. I'm her number one. If there are any other Nicole haters out there, come at me.
Harry Lottie's face is doing so much work in this thing. Like from the beginning, like his face, the looks is giving both Venetia and Nicole, like just responding to what they're saying. It's just like that's like his real thing. Obviously, you have the big thing in Oxford where he kind of woos that girl while drunk and high. But this seems like his face is just doing so much. And then I guess we could just end this whole segment in that Robert just gets away. He's like, there's enough. He tries to obviously try to get Venetia away as well, but she's pre-ripped. She needs to get her.
And she thinks she's getting on with Nicole.
Yeah, because she's flattered Nicole and that's
Nicole wet now. It's like, oh, another person to lick my boots. She's happy.
So Robert leaves, and then Nicole pours some wine to Venetia and says, "This is nice. Have some more."
Oh,
and I was like, "Fuck."
I knew it.
I was like, "Oh fuck it! No, this girl, this woman is
incorrigible. She's incorrigible."
So Robert returns to the restaurant. Literally like 5 minutes later. Like not even those.
It wasn't that long. Or at least it didn't feel that long in this show.
I think. Well, I mean, 5 minutes to say maybe the parking lot is 5 minutes, it's 2 minutes away. But like it was like you usually walked out, walk back here, and then they're gone. And I always use a very distressed voicemail for the Venetia. But yeah, so that's obviously what. Let's go back to our unholy trio. And this is kind of like the issue that goes throughout the episode because Rishi and Harper want to get backup options, but Eric is very adamant at staying with the Yankees. How you go now? I don't have much to say about this particular scene because really it's just something that builds up and it's kind of like table setting and we blow on more. But do you have anything to say? Obviously, so that they agree on going for Dasha.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it's Deutsche, but like for legal reasons. Yeah, I mean it is Deutsche, but like we can just say it, right? Like nobody's look honestly, if most part sues, there's nothing to sue. Like you probably take the webcam that we're using, that's it. So but yeah, they are going to get a what they call it, a meeting through or rather they get a meeting for Deutsche through DMing or whatever. Do you have anything about this scene?
No.
Yeah, okay. So Yasmin, we go to Yasmin for the first time this episode and she hates her friends. She invites Maxim over.
Those are friends in her house.
Yeah, what do you think they were?
I thought I was like, why are these random people in Yasmin's house?
What do you think? Just like she will open and up.
It's just a party. I don't know.
No, yeah, a party now, but I think it's like probably the quote unquote friends that she made during COVID and she was going back to.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I was just like, I don't know any of these people. Why are they in my house?
I found out. I was listening to a podcast. I guess I'm allowed to say this because Mickey and Conrad said it on a different podcast, so it's not like I'm. Yeah, I know. I listened to a podcast and they were talking about how in season 1 they had a cut scene in which Yasmin was doing coke with her boyfriend. What's his name again? That is stupid name. Anyway, the boyfriend and he asks her, "Have you ever done this before?" And she's like, "No." So like in their head, she was never really a coke person, and she became a coke person during COVID, which is just like it.
She never did coke with Harry.
I don't think she like.
Sorry, wrong.
But I think that would have been if she did. It would have been after that cutscene with her boyfriend.
So it wasn't COVID.
So basically, no. But she became a coke like she did coke, but she became a coke person during that kitchen session. So like when the show started, she had never done COVID.
Oh, okay.
I think would she have even done like the only scene that being in that bedroom when Robert loses his notes.
Yeah.
I don't know if she did in that scene, but like that might have been the cut scene actually, because that's the time that she and her boyfriend have done coke to be first. That might have been the cut scene. But anyway, it just kind of explains why it looks now like she's just doing lots of coke. She does lots of coke like this season, like you can kind of almost see it and I'll be like, oh yeah. Anyway, but that was just I don't think that's like they said it themselves, so I don't think that's like spoiling anybody's. Anyway, I'm sorry. I've already messed about tons of them coming back, so I don't want to mess with them. You're not being very sympathetic.
I'm not.
So I want to skip this Maxim and it has been seen, just because it obviously builds up, and I think it's more important to talk about it with the Venetia scene. Definitely. Okay. So if we skip all those scenes, we're back to the first meeting with Deutsche, so this is the next morning, in which Rishi and Harper are incredible.
They're so good.
I was like, oh my god, this is so good. They're a tag team. Rishi is like, I'm not a pervert. They're like, a pervert, don't answer that. I was like, oh my god, this is so good.
I also love that he only looked at Eric.
And then, speaking of Eric.
So when I was watching the scene, my question was like, why is Eric so quiet? Mm-hmm. I didn't understand that. It was just bubbling up. It was boiling.
But he was like playing with his phone. That's how the scene started. I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. And Eric just... I mean, to be fair, to be in an interview and tell the interviewers to get out of their own meeting room is incredible.
It's hard.
It's like, I was like, hard. Oh my god, that's fair enough.
It's hard.
So... But yeah, Eric torpedoes at that meeting, obviously, to the anger of Rishi and Harper.
I feel like Rishi was a lot angrier than Harper.
Yeah.
I think Harper believed him.
Yeah.
When he said he had a short thing.
Yeah.
But like, she even says in the episode, we should stop using that phrase in this business.
Yeah, short thing, yeah. I think Rishi's risking more.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's why he's probably like, look, we need to just get something. Harper is dumb.
But Gino was funny. Like, I was thinking in the beginning, like when they called Rishi to join them, I was like, oh, why? Like, why would I ever? Like, I'm a very risk-averse person. Mm-hmm. Like, why would I ever join you two outcasts? Especially given what happened with Harper. Like, Harper, you just fucked me. Me over. And then Harper drops that, oh, the London thing is happening, so you're not going to have a job anyways. And I was like, oh, okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, they could have gone for anybody, so they just...
But also, like, was it Berlin episode? When, it's Berlin episode where he's like, I shall be made MD or like, you can see like, he's not as content as he wants to be. Like, he feels like he deserves more. So, like, he makes sense he thinks, and he does was just moving with Eric.
That's fair.
There was just him and
Eric alone is a different position.
Like you're going with a legend or whatever, and it's like, okay, I can go and I'm come empty straight away or whatever. Anyway, after the meeting with Deutsche, still very desperate to get Jesse back on board. Harper makes it truly idiotic.
Oh,
incredible! I was like, Harper, what are you
Hail
doing?
Mary?
I don't know. It's not even Hail Mary. That's so. I was like, what are you doing? This is such a bad decision. So she makes that call to Gus, basically asking for inside information, and Gus is like, I'm your friend. I'm going to help you right now. You're not even calling on WhatsApp.
I think he played that scene so well. He was like, Harper, what are you doing? I was like, that's pretty good. That's how I react. I would lower my voice.
What line are you calling on right now? I was like, yeah. So, and speaking of what I want to try and do, I think let's go with that, but let's keep all the Gus stuff to the end. Okay. I think it's just a bit smoother. We just keep because Gus is just really, like you said last week, it's just his own story. So let's just keep.
I felt like that transition there was a really good transition. I love the way they wrote it into the episode.
So I was like, oh, okay, so good. Because when we first cut him, I was like, are you typing transition? I was like, okay. I was like, okay, well done, well done. So if we skip the Gus, that leads us to Venetia and Yasmin, in which Venetia interrupts Yasmin's meeting to confide in her about Nicole's assault on her the night before. And I just love that they didn't show it to us. We know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Yasmin, to say the least, is not helpful.
Oh my god.
She's very problematic in her response.
She's so bad.
She gets finicky about terms. She explains that Venetia should bury it, and even
she calls that pragmatic.
Yeah, so that she should use it for her own.
Yeah,
which is what Harper tried to do, though.
No, but it's also what
she did.
It's also what Yasmin did, right?
It
wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't assault. It was abuse. But like,
oh, I forgot that she was doing the Hillary thing.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking, like, no, Harper tried to do that in season 1 and it didn't work out for the same woman. But like, you're right. It's a lot more interesting when you think, oh wow,
she's just thinking, oh, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
I think she's so like jaded by being in all these spaces, and then Venetia is like, oh no, when she starts getting a bit like picky about the terms they're using, it's like, oh, that means I was assaulted last night, and Venetia's like, you were?
I have it right there. Venetia's "you were" is like, you. What are you talking about? Like, you don't just say like you.
Like what?
Her line of "you were" is so.
It's really good.
But then, I want to talk about that Max a bit later because for a point that Max assault. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, all the things Yasmin was saying just bad. I was like, I hate this industry.
It was bad.
I hate what it does to people.
Yeah, it was just bad thing after bad thing. I was like, oh well, and then she basically tells Venetia not to drop it.
Yeah.
Well, as you said in episode 1, Gen Z's gonna Gen Z.
Love my Gen Z's, man.
They get the job done. Venetia goes and tells
no, one more thing Yasmin says when she goes, is she a big client? Fuck. Bro, it cut deep, man. It cut deep because you could already see where it was going.
I was like, do you need to see her again? It was like, I don't think so. I was like, oh yeah, it was. Yeah. But Venetia goes ahead, escalates it with Kenny, and thus starts DVD's Day from Hell. Poor man.
He's having a no good, very bad day.
That was a bad day.
He was having a really bad day.
And like, anyway, we'll talk about something later. But yeah, Kenny takes it to DVD and Kenny then interrogates Robert about the night before, about his relationship with Nicole. As he heard of seeing anything untoward, Robert obviously says no.
Why is that obvious? Because I was like, why are you lying at this point? Like, something has clearly happened. Just tell the truth.
I think I would have done so as well. Like, I'd have said the truth.
Yeah, because you're a bitch. But like, why?
No, Jesus Christ! Can you guys see? My God. No, I think I would have said the truth as well. But I painted it as like really painted like I didn't think it was any assault. Like I thought it was consensual, but I thought like everything was fine. Like I tried to obviously, but I guess because what does DVD say later? Like you should have reported this to.
Yeah, immediately she told you.
No. Because like when I was skipping ahead, but when Robert says that confesses to DVD,
yeah,
he says something about you should have to report this
to the regulator.
So I guess maybe Robert knows that there's some things that he didn't do.
Oh, okay.
He's just trying to save himself. But I think just because of the what's the word? Because of the care that he felt the night before about Venetia and the fear that he had that Nicole was going to, I think I would have probably just said the truth. But obviously that he didn't do that, and he kind of gets away scot free. So So that's an indelicate place to leave that story, but that's where it ends, and then it moves on to Yankee Stadium.
Okay, but like still on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Couple things. Seeing Kenny in like manager mode was kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie, man. I was like, oh yeah, man, Kenny care about your guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm back to what we said last week about how it kind of gave us hope that Kenny would be a good manager, and then when he's talking to Danny, and he's like, yeah, and then when he points to Robert as like,
bro, it was so good. He was so good. This involves you too, man. And then the way he was looking at him, I was like, what? Really good, really good.
He's looking around like, what's going on? Yeah, no, so yeah. Do you have anything else to be Okay, so at Yankee Stadium, Eric is loving it. He's loving the attention from the GS person that his their children share the same school, whatever. They've been talking about this for a while. They're talking, everything's looking good. And then the bomb drops. Anyway, what was your reaction when Daria walks in?
I shouted, Daria! Well, I didn't shout, but like, I read in my notes, Daria! I was actually so excited. I was like, yeah, there's a twist that needs to happen, and I didn't think it was gonna be Daria, but that's such a good way to fold her, like bring her back into the show.
I literally said out, and I wrote it down because you nobody believe. I literally said out loud, "Holy fucky fuck, Jesus!"
That doesn't make sense, right?
Bro, my mind was shattered. I was like, I went, "Holy fucky fuck, Jesus!" I'm like, those are not words that go together, but here I am.
Really
it was like, yeah, because I was like, I did not like I'd given up on Daria weeks ago when she come up episode 2, 3. I was like, Daria's not coming back, and then just like.
Great way. What a great way to introduce that. Oh, what happened to that about you? Oh, I've been on maternity leave.
Yeah, for like what, 18 months?
18 months, yeah.
But she's still meant to be on the leave, but she just said that these guys are coming in. And then that leads us to the.
Where did you get 18 months maternity though? Germany.
What do you mean?
You only really get 18 months maternity leave in Germany.
So you think she's been working in Germany?
I don't know why she has 18 months maternity. Did she have 2 kids back to back?
I mean, when do you money get?
It's like 6 now.
Oh.
Or maybe she just took. You probably take unpaid.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
6 months maternity. That's
maternity. Maternity is less. More parental leave.
Yeah. That's depressing. Anyway, yeah. So that whole thing happens, and then the guy from Goldman basically explains that he's just using them. He's using this meeting just like kind of like a beacon, so that the other people that they really want to get are like, oh, they're taking meetings. Let's sign up hurriedly. And then I love when he was like, if it was you,
you would
applaud.
You would applaud it, and I think you should. Yeah.
Then he's like, yeah, fuck.
I know he was like, fair enough, bro. You got me.
Daria walking.
Really good. Like, great twist.
I'm trying to think of a twist like that was just really good. Yeah, and maybe like is it no? It's not the same level. Is it like Kendall? Throwing his down under the bus in the season 2.
No,
I don't think it's that. At that level. But yeah, no. So yeah. So that obviously torpedoes their main meeting, and but they're licking their wounds later. And they're like, look, we can't go anywhere because this is going to spread. People are going to know very quickly. And then we go back to Pierpoint for another sick conversation. There've been lots of cigarette conversations this season, I realized.
Sacred?
Cigarette.
Oh, cigarette, yeah.
Anyway, and this is between Venetia and Robert, in which I really wish I'll be very interested. No, not interested, but I hope I don't know the right verb to use or whatever, but I wish we had the chance to speak to the actors of this show or any of them because like I'm interested in so many character arcs this season. Like Venetia has been kind of quiet for 4 episodes, and then she's had 2 episodes just like, wow, like this. How could this episode like what she does in this cigarette conversation when she's basically like, I think you knew.
Oh yeah.
And Robert is like, what are you talking about? I did not know. It's like, but you kind of left me a voicemail that was like, you kind of knew.
You knew.
And then there's a part where she's like,
but like it's an incredible journey that she makes in that conversation because she starts off with, oh, I think I should drop it. I think I was overreacted.
Yeah.
And I think just talking to Robert, she's just like, man, did I? Because you knew, and now you're denying it.
Do you think she actually meant that when she said, I think I should drop it?
I think so.
I thought she was just trying to get something from Robert.
No. I think if she's been talking to the higher ups and they don't even have a process to do it, it just looks like looks like it's too much.
Yeah, not worth it.
Yeah, it looks like it might not be worth it. So I think she's seriously considering dropping it.
Yeah, and then she says the way you guys have a good relationship, like which she was treating you like a plaything.
Yeah,
and Robert is like you were as well.
You did too.
Because she was being mean.
She was being mean.
Because she knew his options.
But I think she was matching Nicole's. Nicole is so bad.
But I think Nicole, she did it too. Like, she sort of.
Sorry, babe, I hate her.
You call her a bitch.
Yeah.
I think it's allowed. I think for Nicole it's allowed.
I think it's allowed.
But you know I said it wrong. Why you? I didn't call her a bitch.
Call who a bitch?
You called.
That's terrible. I don't think it's nice that you say that word.
I don't say that word normally, but you said
it's really, really, really unfair.
I cannot believe you called Nicole that. That was what.
I'll do it again, man. I'm a number 1 hater. I hate Nicole so much. They should put us in a boxing ring and fight.
Jesus Christ. fighting women as well.
No, we're sparring. It's a competition.
You said you're fighting her now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's different.
Okay.
It's like prostitution and porn.
What are we talking about? What?
It's just different rules. When you get gear involved, everything is different.
When you get gear involved, everything is different. Please, can we continue? So this conversation between Venetia and Robert kind of spurs Robert on to confess. Right. I wrote this down because I love you so much. When he's damn DVD.
Oh, what a day he's having.
David is like, where's Rishi?
Where's Rishi? So does he have an access? Nah, he does such a good job. He does such a good job in this episode.
So stressed.
He's so good in this episode.
So stressed. My God. And it's so interesting that he can have this arc within this episode. Like, because it's just, anyway, we'll get to him in a bit. But yeah, I love when I have clarity that Robert tells Danny about the relationship. It's like, and Danny's like, are you sure? Danny's like, what do you mean? Robert's like, what do you mean am I sure? It's like, no idea why I said that. My brain just fucking frizzles.
I don't know why I said it. It's so cool.
Somebody else is controlling my brain right now. I do not know what's going on.
Are you sure?
Oh, but yeah, he tells.
That was a really good one. And then also when Robert is like trying to confess, and like during the confession, he turns around and asks for Rishi again about like all his traders. Like he's like, why is my lead trader? I have 50 people asking for prices. And then Robert is trying to tell him it's a pattern of behavior. And so Rishi turns around, you mean his two thing? I said, no. My poor boy, man. He's going through a lot.
DVD. And he shows on his face, man. But yeah, like he said, he tells DVD that it's a pattern and that he believes that Nicole assaulted Harper as well, which breaks DVD.
Oh, man. Which was so... like, watching... Yeah, I mean, a little bit was funny. Oh. Because he's like, oh, no wonder she's so close. I was like, bro, that wasn't what broke that, man. Harper been broken long before that. I was like, it's nice that you think that that's the reason. Yeah. But like, it was... You're off. Yeah. Like, it's cute. But I like that he had, like, actual sincere, like... Sympathy about it. I was like, oh, wow. And then when he hears that, she's talking to her, like, even though you know that's not the reason, but, like, it's still, like, and then DVD brings all this to Adler, who summarily just, like, dismisses this. Like, do you know, I think this might be my favorite conversation in the whole episode.
Then go ahead, talk about it.
It's just not even like what happens, it's just the words they use. I thought it was so well written. I was engrossed in listening to Adler. Adler is disgusted with everything DVD is saying. He's like, why are you bringing this?
He's calling you mosquito.
Yes, that was at the end. He said, like, I'm meeting all the like
rape heads. I'm canceling the CPS desk.
I'm sacking people to not bring me mosquitoes. When he's talking about like Harper, he's like, fuck, that kid prints a lot of biz.
I went to the he doesn't care.
He don't care about what.
Until realize it was Harper.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, she prints biz, and I want her in New York. I don't want a HR situation.
He's like, I don't want any more HR noise. Like, I don't want it. He uses that word, HR noise. I was like, bro. And then even when he's talking about like he's talking to DVD in that scene, and he's like, I think they're trying to refer to Venetia. And he says the new hire? I'm just like, bro, you're not a new hire anymore, man. Like, it's a grad. Like, none of this, like, everything is just so beneath him. So yeah, I love that.
There are two more things happening in that conversation. One is that he tells DVD to bury it, or to let it go and like, to bury itself. What is it?
He says on aggregate. These things just, like, you think they'll blow up, but on aggregate, they just go away. I was like, bro. The words, I think the writing in this episode is probably one of my favorite like episodes of TV this year. Like when it comes to
bro.
In the beginning, Rishi is like, I'm 10 grand long on chrysanthemum. That's a ridiculous way to say that. It's so cool.
Diana, right? His voice.
No. I think he's complaining to Harper and Ken.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I keep using their real names.
Done that. And then second important thing that happens is we find out that like there's a bit of friction between DVD and Adler in that DVD is like, well, you should come to me a long while ago.
If you want me to manage people,
maybe me a manager. Which is interesting because we kind of, or me at least, I get the impression that like DVD is I'll get the impression that he was respected, or at that, not maybe at that level, but like on the way to being at that level. But like it looks like Adler has been.
I think he's chosen, but like they haven't rewarded him yet, which happens a lot.
Okay. But now that leads me to something I want to talk about just at this juncture quickly, and I have a question for you. It's a critical question, not necessarily critical in like negative, but critical in like critical thinking, critical analysis. How do I put this now? I'm trying to figure out the most delicate way to put it, but like, did you get this sense? And it's between this Adler and so the two scenes I saw it happen. This scene between Adler and DVD, and between Maxim and Harper and Yasmin, the assault. But did you get the sense that you saw the story gears moving? Like you almost saw them laying the tracks for this. Like it was like you could see the sausage being made.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. And look. Let me just put let me be clear. As someone who knows the difficulty of writing story, and as someone who is writing story and making films, I do not want this to be levied as a criticism against me. So let me put this like I don't have a problem with like seeing story gears move as long as obviously the result is good. And I think the result here is very good, right? So it's not like, oh, this is terrible because we can see the story gear. Just like we're talking about the show, so I think we kind of point it out. But yeah, so you said as well, because I was like, because like anyway, do you have anything to say before I go on?
So for this one, I saw it less. Like, I mean, I noted it. I was like, okay. Like, have we really heard this? Yeah, the DVD and other one. Like, have we really heard this before? Like, okay, cool. But I didn't think it was too out of the the realm of possibility or even like just the general feel that you've gotten with these characters. Like, I felt like, oh, he's not a manager yet. Like, I felt that way. But I think we even touched on it earlier in this season when we were talking about his position on the London team. I'm like, wait, he's above them, but like he's not above them because he's still working on the desk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like a little bit there, but much more.
Yeah.
With the Maxim and Yasmin assault.
So before we go to the Maxim one, mine was more like, oh, we need to establish this to explain why he would join their team at the end. And I'll kind of avoid my story again. It was like, if we don't have this part of the conversation between Adler, like, it was like, what do you mean you're on the path? Like you said, you're chosen. Like, you don't need to risk your career with these people. But then it's like, Adler is actually never going to promote this guy. So it makes sense that he does that. But with the Maxim and Yasmin thing, and let me get my notes clear because this is a tricky situation. In the moment, Maxim, like assaulting Yasmin, did seem weird to me. And I was like, it was like, I don't say out of character because one,
we don't really know Maxim.
Exactly, we don't really know his character. And two is like, I'm sure a lot of women will attest that like this kind of character flip happens with men around them every day. Like people you think that quote unquote good guys become assholes. So I don't want to say out of character, like, but like when it did happen, I was like, oh wait, is this a story we're telling? I was like, are we telling this story now? Like Maxim is assaulting you. So like I was like, oh okay. And obviously when the Venetia thing happens and then it comes to you like, okay, this is why you had to do that. And you remember a story kid. I still think it works, but I was like, oh, this is something that I'm like.
But you know what? Yeah. So my thing with that was my first watch. I didn't even like clock it. It was when I watched it again. And I was like, oh, does this exist just to feed that Venetia, like just to contrast with the Venetia story?
I think so.
And I think it does. Yeah. But then what, like, the credit that I will give is I didn't notice the first time I was watching.
Okay. But it didn't feel, I guess
it felt that I was saying, like, okay. Like, it didn't feel too out of character for Maxim because we don't really know him that well. Men can do that. Yeah. So like it didn't feel that abrupt. I was like, why are you doing this, Maxim? Like, it was like she said no the first time, like it's okay. Yeah. Like I wouldn't have expected you to do it, but like it can happen.
Well, yeah, like I said, I think if that scene is there to feed the Venetia story, it does that. Not only is it fine, it does that very well. So it's okay. It's just that we're talking about it on the podcast, so like these are things that we point out. So like anyway. I thought it was just me. So
no. I definitely, especially on my second watch, I have it on my notes. Like, is this? I said, does it only exist just to feed that storyline? Which fair.
Yeah. So we go back to the bar. Our unholy trio is they're licking their wounds when DVD calls Harper to kind of like connect with her. Like, oh, I know the trauma you've been through.
Harper, man.
Harper from some point. Okay, do you think Harper knew what he was talking about?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure she did. I'm not sure. I'm not sure she had a clue.
But she never even asked him, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah,
She's like,
she didn't.
she finally transformed that.
You know why? Because she's goal focused.
When do you think
Kava
this plan
is mission driven. I think once he called. I think once she called.
Maybe
once
when he called and then she realized that he wasn't calling to like shout at her.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I can still use you. You still like
you are useful.
Yeah. Like, you don't hate him, so maybe I can get you on board or whatever. And
I think all the Shogun stuff also helped play into it.
Yeah, true. Do you know what band that is?
Yeah.
What?
Nomura. It's what, like, they mentioned he was going for drinks with Slogan.
Oh, okay.
Like with Nomura friends.
Japanese bands in London. I didn't really get anything like
Really, Nomura. Do you know I applied to that?
Oh.
When I was in business school.
Oh.
Learning how to do business. I'm going to do Japanese business.
Now you're in the travel industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, DVD calls to kind of like connect on the emotional stuff and how I transform that into cold biz.
She's still printing. My baby's still printing. She can't stop.
And then DVD steps into that cursed store, the bathroom store. Like when he sat, I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
And it does the
Death by Wanker. Times 2.
It's so funny if you actually just die now. It don't make any story sense, and I'll hate you 5 minutes from now. But when it happens, I would die laughing. But yeah, then.
But he doesn't die. He cries, which is really sad. DVD man, he's so pure. Big up Aubrey, man.
Call his real names.
Big up Aubrey, yeah, man.
You feel like that's a character that is so much to go on. Like I'm sure this guy, like I'm talking about this in second, if he survives to season 3, I'm sure like they expect to like actually go into him the way they've gone to against this season. Yeah. Because like, why does this get him so much? Why does this destroy him so much? Like knowing about it and that person to like it's like it breaks him.
Yeah, I think
I've not seen emotion from him.
Yeah. So yeah, like no. I think just based on context clues in this episode, I think DVD is someone that actually cares about people, but not just people in general. He cares about like his employees. So employees. So from the way he reacts to like Robert, like in the beginning, like when he's pushing him because he's like, oh, something really bad has happened, you know. This is not just like a peer-to-peer thing, like trying to blah blah blah. I think he really cares about people, and then that Adler conversation like shows him that look, on the whole, this is not a place that does care about people. So I think that makes him sad. Adler in that conversation insinuates, I think the way I read it was that he was insinuating like, oh, are you close to Harper's? Are you guys giving because? And DVD makes a decision in that moment, to say no, and then like even try and prove it, which I thought, like
how do you try and prove it?
It's like, oh, I just suspended her because.
That's true.
Yeah. So I think like him seeing those two things, like Adler saying bury it, and Adler also trying to see if there was a relationship there to be exploited. I think those really upset him. And I think going to the stall and then it's like it's writing, and the writing is literally on the wall. Like this isn't a good place. So I think that breaks him.
How have they not been painted over 3+ years?
It might be funny now.
That's what the guy. That's what somebody died in that store. Like anyway. But yeah, it's like look, it's sort of like industry. I'm very hesitant to call anybody a good person trademark. So
but they're good people. They're good people. I think this season, maybe last season, I wasn't sure they were good people. This season, I've definitely shown.
But yeah, it's like that. Him breaking down, just like, oh wow, this is actually getting to you.
Yeah. Also, I think it also plays on the fact that he says earlier in the season that this is his life. Like this is where I am. Yeah. So being probably confronted with the fact that my life is shit. Like the people around me I'm in a bad place.
Yeah. Speaking of bad places, that leads us to Kenny and Yasmin. The rare conversation where everybody's bad. Everybody's just on the wrong. Everyone's just bad. I don't know. Everyone's wrong. Everyone's just wrong. You said last week that it was a healing point for them.
And now they're injured again.
I don't know what tell me to say about this scene. Like
it was just really good. I really like.
Oh no, it's a great scene. Yeah,
I really like Yasmin in that scene.
Oh, you like Yasmin or you like Marisa Bella? I don't know if I liked Yasmin in that scene. Yes.
But I was also quite happy that she stood up for herself.
Yeah, true.
Even though like what you're standing up for is like it's
shaky,
bad.
It's
It's
shaky,
bad.
yeah.
Like, you shouldn't really be standing up for yourself. You should be apologizing.
Yeah.
But, like, fair. Not from Kenny. Maybe anyone else, not Kenny.
Yeah, it's like so weird. Especially because of the scene Kenny had last week. I'm not really sure. Like normally around Kenny just full of bullshit or whatever. Like
no, I think he was genuine.
Yeah,
I think he was genuine. But I think she's right. I don't think he really still like even all the whole journey he's been on to try and redeem himself and like make up for his ills. I still don't think he has enough moral high ground to come at Yasmin like that. Yeah. So fair. I think they were both wrong. Yeah. I
mean, he says that he wasn't trying to come with it,
but he was.
Yeah,
he came out.
Like it crossed many lines, like knocking, interrupting her meeting.
Yes, exactly.
Like you can wait. Yeah. So and I almost I forgot about the tits thing. Like
yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing that was so terrible. I forgot about that in season 1. Yeah, Kenny, you're actually awful. Because every time I've seen Kenny this season, I'm always thinking about like the pitches. That's the kind of the bad thing I kept on thinking about, and like the insult in the bar or the restaurant in the
yeah, that was what came to
mind. I forgot about it. Like basically harassment. It's like harassment. So yeah, I forgot about that. I was like, oh yeah,
if not assault.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out if it's assault or harassment. But anyway, yeah, it's just the conversation where everybody's bad. Marisabella's pronunciation of cunt this season has just been incredible. Every time she says it, like this is just
beautifully played. This is beautifully played.
Said. Yeah, like my favorite overhead line is in this scene, but I'll keep it to the end. I think we have the same one. Okay, I'll keep it to the end because it's incredible. It's ridiculous. Also very timely considering the day we're recording this on. Yeah. So we go to the end, the final scene, which is just a painting. Do you know what I paused just to watch that? Like when DVD walks into the bar and then Rishi's getting the drinks off the bar, and then just like Harper stands up, Eric is there, Rishi. Yeah, I just love the fact that like DVD thought it was coming in to like really connect and like break ground and like let's break emotional walls, and then 2 seconds later he's talking about how to live their prayer. I was like, this life, man, this company,
this industry.
Point and co. I didn't see development in this story. I didn't see this happening. Like the first 15 minutes, I kind of not I saw, but I expected. It made sense. Like Eric and Harper, like DVD coming in this episode, did not see that coming.
Yeah, especially how like we were reading at the beginning of the season. Yeah, like what I never thought it would be.
So I went back to listen to our episode of them 2 episodes. Yeah, just for this, and I was like, because we're talking about would it be DVD and Harper versus Eric, or Eric and Harper versus DVD, and I was like, I didn't know it was
going to be all of them.
So we didn't even count Rishi, which is like, I'm sorry, Saga.
Big up Rishi.
Yeah, big up Rishi season. But yeah, I was like, I didn't see this come, this 4 of them, and then that whole thing. What was about writing,
bro? My second favorite conversation on this episode.
Jesus Christ! First of all, everybody wants to be an MD. I don't know how that works. Everybody's going to be an MD when
they spend the time. They need to do it.
And then when he said, what does he say? You guys are all fucked. Whatever he says, you guys are unbelievable. And the Rishi's like, tell them that thing. This is so good. It's so good. But yeah, you love that scene as well. What
just the writing. Wow. DVD's line reading of Old School.
So, speaking of Old School, Eric cannot be okay with it. Because like DVD's like, I'll be in charge of death. I'll deal with calm. Eric cannot be okay.
He's not. But like, he's in between a rock and a hard place. Like,
so it's just really fucked.
I think he is. I think he had all his hopes on GS, and then that didn't work.
So I didn't have this in my notes because I wasn't really sure how to read it. But there's a scene where, when that same scene, or not the scene before the DVD call, when Eric is like, "How did we know that Bloom was covered by GS?" Shouted on him, and then she says, "I thought he was up." Like, so is that her admitting that like she thought Bloom? Like, what happens in the what she's saying?
That Harper says what?
Because he's like, "Why did we tell them that we owed Bloom?"
Yeah,
like, and then Harper is like, "I thought he had cut me off." But obviously since he's still short, then so I listen. So is that her like admitting that all this while she thought she wasn't in his ear anymore? Why doesn't Eric make a bigger deal of it? It's just really fucked. It's just like
done. I think it's done.
Fair enough, yeah. Okay, so before we go to Gus.
But maybe also like they just know that he's a bit finicky and eccentric. Like him cutting you off doesn't mean it's done.
Yeah. But like Papa should have told him no, not even told him that like him and I are in trouble. Like tell him that like Goldman covers him on some stuff. Like isn't that important information to know?
Yeah. I don't know how they didn't do that, but I
Yeah.
don't think that was the reason they didn't take them on.
There's something that Daria said that I thought was I was really pointed because writing just so good at concept. Where she's like, you know Blue. She didn't say you work with Blue or like you cover him. She's like, you know him, right? It's like you guys are friends,
Yeah.
right? Because we're his business guys. You guys are just friends, right? Like so I thought that was just interesting choice of words. Before we talk about Gus, so I'm still expecting one more betrayal. And I know it's because I've watched too much Succession. And it's something I've not, this is a show I've not spoken about, that I've been thinking about all season. Not that show. Or even shots of water. But I'm allowed to do this. They mentioned it in this episode. So I'm allowed to mention Succession.
Go ahead.
What's my barely? They called Kendall Roy. What more are you going to do?
Passing reference.
We know they don't live in their world. But no, Unreal. I haven't mentioned Unreal, but I'm thinking about Unreal a lot this season.
Really?
Just the way every season it kind of looked like. If you haven't watched Unreal, please go watch Unreal. Incredible show. I think Ayo and I really love that show. I think it's on Prime. The way every season always looked like what was that? Rachel was gonna get away with somebody. And that was the Bachelor or Chet, whatever. But she always ended up with Queen. Back with Queen. Like that. That's not a spoiler, that's just the way life was. That's the cycle, right? Yeah, but like the different variations. Anyways. So that's what I've been thinking about a lot this season. Not really most of the season, but mainly that. Just because like I've never felt like Harper will be too far away from Eric. Which is why I still think there's one more betrayal. But also like this show is, and to be fair, this show is called Industry, not Peer Points. But like, are we really not going to be in Peer Point next season?
I mean, we could.
We'll be in Goldman.
We could be somewhere.
How much money would they have paid Goldman to allow them to like use their name continuously?
Okay, no, they won't be in. They won't be in.
Okay, not Goldman or like Deutsche or whatever.
So I think they'll probably be in like some other made up.
There's definitely at least one. Even if it's not a betrayal, there's definitely at least one more plot twist.
Yeah.
In the finale.
They might strike out on their own as well. Maybe Bloom starts up his own shop
and brings them in.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think he hates her.
I don't think he hates her.
But anyway, yeah, that's my things. I'm kind of expecting one more betrayal in the finale. I don't think they'll be betrayed as four of them going out and find somebody. Yeah, that's my main thing is like condition show without peer points. Before we before we go to Gus, do you think Harper is invited to Rishi's wedding? Or two parts. Do you think he's invited to Rishi's wedding before they became a team?
No, and no.
Do you think she's still not invited?
I think she's still not invited.
They do it cool. I guess not cool.
They're just leaving.
So next show does.
Yeah, because they're all about to get fired.
So she's still not invited to his wedding.
I don't think so.
He
really didn't want that talking to his wife.
Yeah, but that's so long ago. They don't cook. They've done cook together.
Yeah, and she's betrayed him.
And now they are doing whiskey together. Like I love how like he loves her. Like not loves, but he likes her whenever they're actually doing printing biz. Like what
he calls her a sociopath in this episode. Which, fair enough.
Yeah, it's not like a lie. Fair enough. And then when he is shouting at Eric and she tries to in terms like, don't you even use that? Oh, I didn't give you the chance to talk about the title card. Did you have any thoughts?
No thoughts in this one. I think there was just too much going on.
Yeah, it was when she was on the left.
Yeah.
I mean, it does come after like she admits to herself or at least that she doesn't have blooms.
Yeah.
Blooms yet. Okay. Let's talk about Gus.
Yes.
We don't have to go big for Gus because Gus is really what, 3 scenes. Gus is 3 scenes.
3 scenes. 3 really good scenes.
Oh, great scenes.
I loved every single.
I guess if you add the Harper scene to 3.5, 4 scenes.
Yeah, I loved every moment of Gus's airtime in this episode. So let's start with we talked about his conversation with
what's
partner. And then he goes in to meet Bloom, which 2 things with that. The location, like where they're shooting, is ridiculous.
Well, do you know where they're shooting?
No, but like it just looks so. It's so mad. It's so mad for I don't even know what's called, like location design or set design. It was so nice. And then Bloom's monitors and like he's doing the thing. The basketball, it was just so well. It was so well done. Yeah. It was so well done. I loved it. And then the conversation was wonderful.
Playing Wu-Tang, I think that was Jesus.
It was so good. I have it here that was what did I write? I said it was a. What did I say? I said it was a stunning scene. Stunning. I was so impressed.
Yeah,
I was so impressed.
And because this is the first time, there are 2 times. So we see him in the bathroom but this is the first time we're seeing him in clothes that are not official clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Like a suit or the cardigan, whatever.
Sweater, yeah.
He looked. I don't know what Julie Glass was doing or how he. I don't know how to put it, but he looks older and more slouched than Julie Glass actually looks, and he almost. I don't know. Seeing him dressed today, it was almost took away some of the today in that scene. Almost took away some of the like the majesty, yeah, of him because like you kind of see the stomach, you kind of see the slouch, and I was like, you almost like you lost a bit of your power. And I don't know. It was just a very interesting.
Until he hands because the bag of money, I'm like, fuck man, your power is good. My power is power, man.
30,000
in cash
just for
he deals drugs. Bloom is who is moving allegedly. Stacks allegedly breaks for HSBC.
Is that an allegation?
Yeah,
mad.
That's something that came out that they mooned a ship of cocaine.
Allegedly. That one allegedly, please. No, but yeah.
Do your worst.
Wait, to Eyo in them, not to me.
Give them
but yeah, 30K for just trying. In cash. He said, like, I don't want your Royal Majesty's tithe collectors. Jesus Christ, Bloom. Pretty good. No, Bloom had lines this episode.
Yeah.
Bloom had lines this episode. I was like, when he was so let's not when Gus visits Bloom in his house, and Bloom after making it clear that he's not okay. He was not okay with Gus sleeping with his son.
Thank you. Neither was I.
He says, I'm rich enough to be a Democrat, but like that's
a bit.
But wait, I don't understand this because like aren't the richer people, aren't they not? No, but it's like celebrity rich are Democrats, yes, but like rich, like billionaires rich are usually Republicans. So.
True.
Like oil rich and like I don't know. Anyway, it's just a great line. Whatever
the meaning.
Yeah, just a great line. But yeah, so he explains that he's gonna give Leo an ultimatum. Either you come back to New York and work in a hedge fund or you're cut off. And obviously Gus knows that's a terrible idea. And I think Gus knows that's a terrible idea. He knows that Leo will hate it, and the conversation they have by the very, very sweet time. I guess the one tenseless conversation.
I was like, this is cute, but I hate it.
Why did you hate it? Oh, because of
But
he's no longer.
He's no longer what?
Nothing. I retract that statement.
Yeah, that retracted.
Yeah, I retracted it. Yeah, so that conversation kind of reinforces what Gus knows about Leo and send Gus to Oxford. So Gus, I have a question to ask, but let's talk about Gus in this scene because Gus bribes a lecturer to get Leo on this year's intake list. Go ahead, discuss 14 marks.
Politics.
I love when he says, I knew you'd have been good in politics or whatever.
I was like, because yes, that's what he's just done. I was really surprised. And then as the conversation went on, I was like, oh, okay. This makes sense. He's wheeling and dealing already.
I thought he was going to use the 30K. I didn't know he was going to promise something more Aurora. She doesn't know about it.
She doesn't need to know about
it. To be fair, what he says, let's just discussion we can have something. That doesn't promise. So.
Yeah, he's wheeling and dealing already. And he's good at it.
Yeah,
he seems so sincere as well in that whole
So, let's talk about, can I talk about something? Sorry guys, if you guys are still listening, thank you very much. This show is about class.
It's one of the things that is about.
Yeah. Now, it's not immediately obvious to me that it's mainly about class, because like I noticed it, but it's way down. This is the first time ever that ever is a harsh word, but like I've looked at Gus and seen like a middle class person.
Middle class
first, meaning partial, not like as an Eton guy, whatever. No, but I want to say like I said first, like I've seen a middle class person first, because I always say a black person first.
Interesting.
The show has always been like with Gus, it's always been race first, then class second. I don't think that's
really?
That's the other thing I'm saying. I've done a lot of research. I am in a minority in this. Which I want to talk about because I'm in a minority in understanding it. I don't know why. I don't know. I have no reason to know why. But like, is this scene? I was like, oh, you're one of them.
Yeah.
I was like, you're one of like I've never. I think even like season 1, like Gus and Robert, I always look at, even though in this world, because he's a more privileged one, but I always look at Robert as more privileged because of his white privilege. I always look at Robert more privileged.
Interesting.
I think about this. I was actually walking the other day. I was thinking about this. Like, I always think of Gus as black first than an Eton Oxford graduate. Like with Yasmin, I think because her privilege is just so out there. Like I'm like, you're just
offensive.
Yeah, it's like it's not the same kind of like Gus. I don't think Gus is rich or wealthy. Rather, it's like I think they're in a good class, but like
I think they might be a bit wealthy though, because like his dad's an ambassador.
Yeah, so, but like Yasmin is like that one's just like I said, generational. No, I don't think Gus has generational.
Different level.
Yeah, like Yasmin can afford to be social. Exactly. So I think I was like,
his privilege.
And I was like, I always just see Gus Black first.
Interesting.
Before I see him as
I've always,
and I know it's like I'm not even trying to argue because I know this is the minority view. Like I've done a lot of research.
That's interesting.
But I was like, but then this scene, I was like, you're because when is this like? I'm glad he's one of us or whatever. That's what the lecturer said. I'm like, you're eating Oxford, willing and dealing, like you said, offering an internship at the minister's office for a guy to get into school. Like, you're one of them actually, and this makes sense. This makes us upset because this is where you exist, and he's so comfortable with it. What you can say about the whole race class thing, or even that scene?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I've never I think I've always seen him as a rich black person. Like never as just black.
Never black first.
Never black first. Like
so rich first.
Yeah. Maybe not rich first, but rich black. I think there's a different category for that. So it's the kind of person that will deal with all the things that you have to deal with as a black person, but like also mentally, they exist. They don't exist down here. Like they exist here.
But I don't think that no.
And I think it bled through a lot in season 1 because I think a lot of the tension between Harper and Gus in season 1 is class based, and they are both black. So I think
Harry based.
No. And what
I thought she just thought that he was a dick to Harry.
Why does she think he's a dick to Harry? Because she's never actually seen him being a dick to Harry.
No, Harry told her.
Oh, okay.
But like first episode, before he died, like.
Oh, Harry. Sorry.
You're thinking of Harry Naughty, Robert. Yeah, no, I meant Harry. Yeah.
Okay, fair. That's fair. But I think that also comes with class. I think because Harry and Harper were like from similar backgrounds, that Harry was also projecting down to Gus, like saying, "Oh, you are doing this because you're not grinding as hard because you feel like." I feel like there was always like the class is always
actually. I tell you, like whenever I thought about Harry and Gus in particular, I think that's because they're minorities. I saw Gus as a middle class person. But whenever I thought about Robert and
Harry, like Robert and Gus, it was just, even that I always saw Gus as the person with
I understand
more privilege
because
like even
you are in the majority, I'm in the minority.
Yeah, even when he's talking to Robert about Yasmin, and he's like, "Oh, you never get like that." Come on, that's it spewing out of him. He can't help it. So he is.
But I remember an incredible line that he says last week, to Eyo, when he's like, I can't remember what he says, but it's like, basically that tone that you have comes out so much out of you, but then you claim like you don't like it, or like you saw people that sound like that, or whatever. I can't remember exactly, but I was just like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was just something for me. I was like, I was like, why do I always think of him as a black person first instead of a rich person or a wealthy person? Like, but in this scene, I was like, you're actually in your element. Like to me, I could have closed my eyes and you could have painted him white, and I'm like, it's the same character. So yeah, no, anyway, but that was about Gus. Gus is one person that I cannot even. I couldn't even write a spec script for what his final episode would be.
No idea. I was really worried, like, as to where this season was going to take him, but I'm very happy where we are.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm assuming maybe they won't tie up the politics thing. Maybe they'll just be like, yeah, he's moved on. Like, there will be no fallout or whatever. But I'm assuming Aurora will come up next.
Yeah.
So maybe.
I think he probably takes the job and.
Yeah.
Like gives the.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. He takes the job. Yeah. Or gives the judgment to Leo.
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh yeah. Yeah. And then obviously we know what we're going to see Bloom next week. So it's just like. What is Bloom's role in this? Like I said, I expect another betrayal. So let's see what happens.
I'm so excited.
Before we go to our favorite lines, do you have any Any other notes we haven't discussed?
No. I was just the Daria twist really spun me. That was a good twist. Good twist.
I think that's a very good twist.
It's a really good twist.
I was talking about this season of this show people recently, obviously because of podcasts and everything. I was like, I'm really in love with this season. Like this is, I know we talked about it last week, but like this is getting up there. Like you know when you just have seasons. Like we have Goodbye Season 5. It's like we know that's like we have a shorthand for that. For Goodbye Season 5, just like a season that we just love. And I think this is just really getting.
It's one of them
because we liked season 1, but we didn't see this coming.
I didn't expect to love this show.
Like we did not.
Do you know I saw someone tweet that Industry is their best show?
Fair enough.
Or it's their favorite show.
Yeah, like if you like Succession but you want a bit more debauchery, take. Like, if you want your characters doing a lot more drugs and sex, take. Like this, I think it's such a like market jump.
Yeah,
between season 1 and season 2.
The difference in quality.
I don't think
is stunning.
And I was saying I don't think, and I don't want to sound like because we like season 1.
Yeah, we like
season 1. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't like season 1. I'll talk about things I like on this podcast.
That's fair, Sha. Like
but,
you decided to do this before we watched any of this.
Exactly.
Episode, so
but yeah, we like season 1, but I don't think I've seen a show, or I can't think of a show right now that has done a jump actually between season 1 and season 2 this much. Like
let me think.